Merhaba arkadaşlar. Welcome to the fifth episode of this course. In this course, I would like to briefly explain about the tenses in Turkish language. Let's start from Şimdiki Zaman. Şimdiki Zaman in Turkish is kind of similar to present progressive tense in English. As in English, you're adding the suffix ing at the end of verb. In Turkish language, also we add suffix. However, before going any further, let's study some tips and tricks to use the suffixes easily. First, if a verb ends in a consonant letter, you can add the Şimdiki Zaman suffix considering the four-way vowel harmony. Well, now you know vowel harmony, and considering that, you can add this suffix. You can add one of these letter and followed by your. If a verb ends in a vowel letter, remove that first, then add the relevant suffix. If verbs ends in vowel letters such as bekle, beklemek veya anlamak. Beklemek means to wait, anlamak means to understand. And if you see their root forms, anla, you can see that beklemek, bekle ends, bekle and la both ends in vowel letters. So if you are using such verbs in Şimdiki Zaman, first you remove these vowel letters, then add the suffix considering the four-way vowel harmony. First, beklemek, bek, remove this letter, now add the suffix, and see that you are adding this suffix considering the four-way vowel harmony. Here the last vowel is this, so when it is the last vowel, you are adding this one. Bekli, your, or anlamak. So when you are adding suffix to this, first remove this vowel, now add the suffix. And here check the last vowel letter. The last vowel letter is A, so you are adding this one. Only your. As simple as that. And now let's study different types of sentences, different structures. First of all, positive sentences. Positive sentence with Şimdiki Zaman is very easy because you're only adding this suffix after the verb. Verb or fill in Turkçe. Verb plus suffix plus personal suffix. Kişi iki. Kişi iki means personal suffix, and fill means verb. It means after the verb you need to add this suffix, and after this suffix you need to add the personal suffix. For example, the verb gelmek. Gelmek means to come. Here see, ben geliyorum. Gel, the root form of the verb. So after that you have added the suffix your, and after that you have added the personal suffix. Ben geliyorum, I am coming. Sen geliyorsun, you are coming. O geliyor, he or she or it is coming. One of the good thing about Turkish language is that it is genderless. So you do not have any specific rules for female or male nouns. That is good news. Well, that is simple as that. Positive sentences. I hope now you know that. Now come to study the structure of negative sentence. Well, when negative sentence, also it is very easy. Only and only you are adding the letter M before adding that suffix. As simple as that. See, söylemek means to say. Ben söylemiyorum. I'm not saying, or I'm not telling. See, only and only you have added this letter M before the suffix. Other structures are the same as positive structure. Ben söylemiyorum, sen söylemiyorsun, o söylemiyor. Well, that is easy. You have to first write the verb or field, then before adding the your suffix you need to add m, then kişi eki or personal suffix. Let's study the structure of interrogative form. Well, with interrogative form it is even easier. You need to add the first write the verb, then add the suffix. After the suffix and before personal suffix you need to add the question word me or mu. As simple as this. Or here I have even written the definition form of positive third person singular. For example, almak, alyor. It is in positive form you see alyor like o geliyor, plus mu plus kişi eki veya personal suffix. Let's see an example. Almak means to buy. First, the form of positive third person singular. Almak, alyor, like geliyor, alyor. Now, before adding the personal suffix, you need to add the question suffix mu. Alıyor muyum? It means, am I taking or am I buying? Almak means to take or to buy. Alıyor musun? Are you buying? Alıyor mu? Is he or she or it is buying? As simple as that. I hope you got the point. And now come to study the negative interrogative. Well, here also the third person singular, negative third person singular. O söylemiyor, for example. After that, add the question word and personal suffix. Or here we have field or verb, the suffix, şimdiki zaman suffix. And before adding the personal suffix, you need to add this question suffix. And you know why here I have written y as well, because whenever two vowel letter come together, you need to separate them. Bulmak means to find. Bulmuyor muyum? Or bulmuyor musun? Or bulmuyor mu? Well, as simple as that. I hope you understood the four types of simple and the four types of Şimdiki Zaman. Well, here I would like to add one point that I never ever suggest remembering these structures. It means do not remember them. I have written it only and only to provide a formula so that you can confirm your sentences once and for all. Write down this structure and write an example, then understand that. After that, you don't need to memorize this structure. You need to understand, and I am sure with one example you get the point. So do not waste your energy and time on remembering or memorizing these structures. Well, now come to Geçmiş Zaman, or simple past tense. Or simple past shows an action that has happened in the past. It is even easier than Şimdiki Zaman because here you have the suffix d for this, like in Şimdiki Zaman you had the suffix iyor, fiil or verb plus suffix Şimdiki Zaman suffix plus kişi eki, personal suffix. And personal suffix in simple past tense as is this. Let me see, and let me explain with an example. A positive sentence. Gelmek, to come. Ben geldim. I came. See, gel, and then this suffix, and then personal suffix. Ben geldim. Sen geldin. O geldi. Biz geldik. Well, continue this way. Now see the negative sentence structure. With negative sentence, it's also easy. Only and only you need to add the suffix ma after the verb before Şimdiki Zaman, before Geçmiş Zaman suffix, and then personal suffix. For example, görmek means to see. Görmek, so before adding the Şimdiki Zaman, add this suffix. Görmedim. Ben görmedim. I did not see. Sen görmedin. You did not see. O görmedi. He or she did not see. As simple as that. Interrogative. And interrogative is even easier, because only and only you consider the positive structure of the sentence, and at the end of that you are adding the me or mu question suffix. That's all. For example, here, geldim, I came. It is a positive sentence, and when you want to change it to interrogative, you only add the question suffix. That is all. Geldim mi, did I came? Like here an example. Unutmak means to forget. Unuttum, I forgot. Unuttum mu, did I forget? And you can continue that. As simple as that. Only and only after the positive form of the sentence, you are adding the question suffix. Very simple. Negative interrogative also very easy. You consider the negative sentence and also positive sentence. So after the verb, you are adding this suffix like you added in negative sentence, and after di or do, you add the personal suffix, and at the end you are adding question suffix. İnanmak, to believe. İnanmadım, I did not believe. It's a negative sentence like here. Negative sentence, görmedim. And only when you want to change a negative sentence to negative interrogative sentence, after the negative sentence you are adding the question suffix. For example, here, görmedim mi, did I not see? Here, inanmadım mi, inanmadın mi, inanmadı mi, inanmadık mi, inanmadınız mi, inanmadılar mi? Very simple. After the negative sentence, add the question suffix. And with interrogative sentence, if it is positive, after the positive sentence, add the question suffix. As simple as that. Well, a simple past tense has another type as well. Belirsiz geçmiş zaman, which the suffix is mish or mush. It is used to describe the events that the speaker has not seen but heard. Or, in simpler terms, the actions that are already done, the actions are happened, we see its effect or result now. Similar to present perfect in English. Well, here let's study the 4 types of sentences. Positive structure, verb or feel. Then now you add this mish or mush suffix after the verb, and after that you are adding the personal suffix kişi iki. And personal suffix in belirsiz geçmiş zaman is as this. Now let's see some examples. Gitmek means to go. Gitmişim, it means I have gone. See, first feel or where. After that you need to add this suffix gitmiş, and after that you need to add the personal suffix gitmişim. It means ben gitmişim, I have gone. Sen gitmişsin, you have gone. O gitmiş, he or she has gone. Gitmişiz, biz gitmişiz, we have gone. And you can continue this way. Negative sentence. Well, a negative sentence generally, I'm generally speaking here. After this, before adding the tense suffix, you are adding the letters ma or me, and the remaining are the same. For example, AcAk means to open, or once see this example, gitmişim, it's a positive, it means I have gone. And when you want to change this to negative, before adding this suffix, you are adding the word, the letter ma or me. For example, gitmemişim, I have not gone. Here AcAk means to open, açmamışım, I have not opened. So it is very easy. I hope you got the point. It means before adding the tense suffix, you should add the letter ma or me, considering the two-way vowel harmony. Here, for example, gitmemişim. Here açmamışım, because a with this letter. You can understand now. Let's go to study interrogative form. Well, interrogative form also very easy. It means now you need to only and only you are adding the question suffix. That is very easy, and you know where to add the question suffix. You are adding the question suffix prior to a personal suffix. The remaining structures are the same. For example, see the positive structure, feel or verb plus mish or mush. Here also feel or verb plus mish or mush, and then you are adding the, here you added the personal suffix, and now in interrogative, before adding the personal suffix, you are adding the question suffix. Let's see some example. Bulmak means to find. Bulmuş muyum? It means have I found, something like that. So bulmuş musun? Bulmuş mu? Bulmuş muyuz? Bulmuş musunuz? Bulmuşlar mı? I hope now you have got the point as well. Negative interrogative. Consider the negative sentence and add the question suffix. As simple as that. Here, açmamışım. So, before adding the personal suffix, add the question suffix. Like, açmamış mıyım? Here, before adding the personal suffix, add the question suffix. Like here, uyanmak means to wake up. Uyanmamış mıyım? Uyanmamış mısın? Uyanmamış mı? Uyanmamış mıyız? Uyanmamış mısınız? Uyanmamışlar mı? Well, it was all about tenses in simple past. Well, now let's study Gelecek Zaman, or future tense, which the suffix is AcAk. You already know the definitions, at least I hope you know. It shows an action that will happen in the future. So now let's study the different structures. First, positive sentence, feel or verb plus tense suffix plus kişi iki or personal suffix. I hope now you have noticed the general structure of all sentences in different tenses. That first you have verb, and after the verb you have the tense suffix, and after the tense suffix you have the personal suffix. It means three key components: verb, tense suffix, and personal suffix. So personal suffix in the future tense you can see here. Now let's see in some examples. Kalmak means to stay. Kalacağım, I will stay. See first feel. Kal, then tense suffix, AcAk, and then personal suffix here in. You know why here you have changed the K to mushage, because we already discussed about all those rules. I hope you remember them. Kalacaksın, kalacak. See, with these sentences I have not used the subject pronoun because these suffixes already convey the meaning of this subject pronoun, so they are actually not mandatory. You can say ben kalacağım, I will stay, or kalacağım, I will stay. Both are the same. So it was a positive sentence for the future tense, as simple as that. And for the negative sentence, you have the feel or verb plus ma or me plus tense suffix plus kişi iki. And also, I hope that you have noticed the general pattern of negative sentences. That first you have the verb, and after the verb with negative sentence you have the negative suffix ma or me, and after that you have the tense suffix, after that personal suffix. See, it's a general structure actually with all tenses. That in positive sentences first verb, then tense suffix, then personal suffix, and in negative only before the tense suffix you are adding the negative suffix. That is all. Here's the general structure. I hope now you have understood it. So see here, kalmak, kalacağım, I will stay. And if you want to change it to negative sentence, so before the tense suffix you should add the negative suffix. Kalma yiyeceğim, as simple as that. Or here aramak means to call, so after the verb you are adding this negative suffix, arama yiyeceğim. And why here I have used this why? Because you know that here this tense suffix also starts with a vowel letter, and this negative suffix also ends with a vowel letter. So here two vowel letter comes together. In order to separate that, I have used this bafar letter. Aramayacağım or ben aramayacağım, it means I will not call. So interrogative sentence, feel or verb plus tense suffix and plus question suffix plus personal suffix. See, if you know the positive structure, the positive tenses, so you can change it to interrogative as well, because before adding the personal suffix you should add the question suffix, as simple as that. For example, kalmak, kalacağım. So here before adding this in you can add the question word, kalacak miyim. Now let's see some more example here. Uyumak means to sleep. Uyuyacak miyim? See here, this K is remaining because here it starts with M, but here it starts with a vowel letter. So you know them. Uyuyacak mıyım? Uyuyacak mısın? Uyuyacak mı? And you can continue this way. Only if you know the positive sentence, it means you know the question form as well, because you can add the question suffix before the personal suffix. So a negative interrogative also, if you know the negative sentence, you can add only the negative suffix, you can add the question suffix in the negative structure, and then the question is changed to interrogative, negative interrogative. Bitirmek means to finish, or here aramak, to call, aramayacağım, I will not call. So before adding the personal suffix, you can add the question suffix. Aramayacak mıyım? Aramayacak mıyım? As simple as that. Or bitirmeyecek miyim? Bitirmeyecek misin? Bitirmeyecek mi? And you can continue it this way. It means generally you should know the positive structure and the negative structure. Then you can change them to interrogative as well. Or generally, and more importantly, you need to learn only the positive sentence. And when you learn the positive sentence, you can change the positive sentence to negative sentence by adding the negative suffix before the tense suffix, and then you can change that to question form as well. However, at the end, once more, I would like to strongly emphasize on avoiding the memorization of these structures, because if you try to memorize them, believe me, you will get confused and you will misuse the sentences. So I brought these structures only and only so that you should be able to check your sentences, either that you are able to write the sentences correctly or not. Now let's study Geniş Zaman, which we mostly use the suffix or for Geniş Zaman. Actually, Geniş Zaman is kind of similar to simple present tense in English. So before going any further, let's study some notes. First, if a verb ends in a vowel letter, only add or at the end of the verb. For example, der, anler, demek means to say, der says, he says, for example. Anlamak means to understand. Anlar, it means o anlar, he understands. Second, if the root of a verb has one syllable, add re or ere at the end of the verb, except lnr ending verbs. First, it is a general rule that if a verb has one syllable, you are adding r or er at the end of the verb. But there are some exceptions from these rules, specifically those verbs, one syllable verbs that ends with ln or Turkish pronunciation lene re. See, here are some examples. Açmak, to open. Açar, he opens. O açar, you have added r here. Or bitmak means to finish. Biter, it means it finishes. O biter. Here you have added ar, ere. And there are some other exceptions from these rules. Although they are one syllable, still they do not follow this rule, especially those verbs that ends with these letters. For example, olmak, olur. See, olmak, one syllable, but still it does not follow this rule. Olmak, olur. vurmak, vurur, bulmak, bulur, kalmak, kalir, bulmek, bulur, almak, alir, gelmek, gelir, durmak, durur, belmek, belir, görmek, görür, sanmak, sanır. Well, and third point, if the root of a verb is more than one syllable, add one of these suffixes considering the four-way vowel harmony at the end of the verb. For example, beğenmek. Beğenmek. So at the end of the root we only add this suffix considering the vowel harmony. Beğenir. O beğenir. He likes. Or öldürmek. Öldürmek. Öldürür. Well, now let's study the structure of different sentences. Positive sentence. Now I know from the past knowledge that you have already gained, you should have guessed the structure, that there should be a verb or field, then tense suffix, after that a personal suffix. For example, gitmek. So see, gitmek is one syllable, and we add one of these two suffix, considering the vowel harmony. So here it becomes giderim. It means I go. Now you know why this te is changed to de. Because we already know the consonant harmony, specifically festek teshahhub, and more specifically those verbs that ends in k, te, che, pe, and whenever a suffix is added to such words, and the suffix begins with a vowel, then these letters get changed. For details, go to previous lessons. Now here, gitmek. Gitmek, the root is git. So whenever you are adding the suffix, you add this suffix, and see, this suffix begins with a vowel letter. So, and here it is one of these letter, so it changes to de, gidar. O gidar, he goes. Biz gideriz, we go. Siz gidersiniz, you go. Onlar giderler, they go. A negative sentence. Well, a negative sentence with Genish Zaman, it is a little different. However, as soon as you see the structure, you know this. Well, first there is a verb, and after the verb, these suffixes are a bit changed, so you should somehow learn them in order to remember for the future use. For ben, we use mam or mem after the field or after the verb. For san, we use maz or mez, sin. For o, maz. Biz, mayiz. Siz, mazsiniz. Onlar, mazlar. And you know that these capitalized letters get changed considering the two-way vowel harmony. Now let's see an example here. Belmek means to know. Bilmem, it means I don't know. The positive form can be bilirim, I know. But the negative suffixes are a little changed. The structure is, the form is a little changed. So you should learn these suffixes for changing a positive sentence to negative ones. بالمم، بالمسين، بالمز، بالميز، بالمسينيز، بالمزلر. For this I recommend to use some to make some sentences yourself in order to get familiar with these suffixes after the verb. And now let's come to interrogative sentence. Well, I hope you now know that making an interrogative sentence is very easy. Actually, considering or remembering the positive sentence, before the personal suffix you add the question suffix me or mu. Now let's see the details here. Feel or verb plus tense suffix, and before adding the personal suffix you add this question suffix. For example, gurur muyum, it means do I see. Görmek, to see. Gurur musun, do you see. Gurur mu, gurur muyuz, gurur musunuz, gururlar, iki, kişi iki, or personal suffix. You can see these personal suffixes in this table here. You have this four-way vowel harmony here. You can choose the relevant one. Now come to a negative interrogative. Well, negative interrogative also easy, not that much difficult. Just remember the third person singular form in negative sentence, because now we are creating a negative interrogative, like this word belmez. After that the question word, and finally the personal suffix. For example, belmez or okumaz, belmez miyim, or okumaz miyim, okumaz misin, okumaz mi. It means after the third person singular in negative sentence, belmez, an example, you can use the question word and personal suffix. Okumaz miyiz, okumaz misiniz, okumazlar. I hope you could have understood the different sentences of Geniş Zaman. It was a little not difficult, but it might need some more practice. So I hope you do practice enough to learn it enough. So it was today's lessons. I hope it was useful for you. Until the next episode, goodbye everyone.